Hey there, fellow taxpayers. Breaking news that could put thousands of dollars in your pocket, but time is running out fast. Did you know there's still unclaimed stimulus money waiting for millions of Americans? We're talking about a potential $5,400 payment that could be yours, but only if you act before January 16th. Before we dive deep into this critical update, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you never miss out on important financial news that could impact your wallet. Picture this. You're sitting on thousands of dollars of unclaimed money, and in just a few days, it could vanish forever. That's the reality for countless Americans who haven't yet claimed their stimulus payments from the pandemic era. Today, I'm going to walk you through everything you need to know about this final countdown to secure your funds, and trust me, you won't want to miss a single detail. Let's start with the burning question on everyone's mind. Why is there still unclaimed stimulus money in 2025? Well, during the height of the pandemic, millions of Americans qualified for various stimulus payments, but due to incorrect addresses, outdated tax information, or simple oversight, many never received their full amounts. The IRS has been working tirelessly to connect these funds with their rightful owners, but the clock is now ticking louder than ever. Here's what makes this situation so urgent. The IRS has identified over $1.5 billion in unclaimed stimulus payments, with individual amounts reaching up to $5,400 for some families. This isn't just about single stimulus checks, we're talking about potential combinations of the first, second, and third economic impact payments, plus additional amounts for qualifying dependents. But here's the catch: if you don't take action by January 16th, these funds will be returned to the U.S. Treasury, and your chance to claim them could be gone forever. Now, you might be wondering, how do I know if I'm eligible for any of this money? That's an excellent question, and I'm going to break it down for you. The key factors include your income levels during the pandemic years, whether you filed tax returns for those periods, and if you received any partial payments. Even if you think you weren't eligible back then, tax law changes and updated guidelines might have changed your status, making you eligible now. Let's talk about the income thresholds. For single filers, if you earned less than $75,000 during the qualifying years, you might be eligible for the full amount. For heads of household, that threshold goes up to $112,500, and for married couples filing jointly, it's $150,000. But here's something many people don't realize: even if you earned more than these amounts, you might still qualify for partial payments. The key is understanding the phase-out ranges and how they apply to your specific situation. What about those who don't normally file tax returns? This is crucial information that many people miss. Even if you weren't required to file taxes during those years, perhaps because you received Social Security benefits, railroad retirement benefits, or Veterans Affairs benefits, you might still be eligible for these unclaimed stimulus funds. The IRS has special provisions for non-filers, and I'll explain exactly how to navigate this process. But let's address another common concern. I already received some stimulus payments. Does this mean I'm not eligible for more? Not necessarily. Many Americans received partial payments or might have qualified for additional amounts based on life changes, such as having a child during the pandemic period. The IRS's systems weren't perfect, and in some cases, they didn't have all the information needed to send the full amounts people were entitled to receive. Here's a real-world example that might surprise you. Sarah, a single mother of two from Ohio, thought she had received all her stimulus payments. However, when she looked into this final claims period, she discovered she was eligible for an additional $3,200 because of a change in her filing status and an additional dependent she hadn't claimed on her previous tax returns. This is just one of countless stories of Americans discovering they're owed more than they realized. Now, let's talk about the documentation you'll need to make your claim. This is absolutely crucial, and you'll want to gather these materials as soon as possible. You'll need your Social Security number or tax ID number, income information from the relevant years, and any notices you received from the IRS about stimulus payments. Don't worry if you've lost some of this paperwork. I'll show you exactly how to retrieve this information from the IRS's systems. One of the biggest mistakes people make is assuming they're not eligible without actually checking their status. The eligibility criteria are more complex than many realize, and various factors could qualify you for these funds. For instance, did you know that even if you were claimed as a dependent in 2019, but became independent in 2020, you might be eligible for stimulus payments you never received? These are the kind of details that could mean thousands of dollars in your pocket. Let's delve into the specific steps you need to take before January 16th. The process isn't as complicated as you might think, but it does require attention to detail. First, you'll want to visit the IRS website and use their Get My Payment tool. This will show you which stimulus payments you've already received. Next, you'll need to create an account on the IRS portal. If you haven't already, don't worry, I'll walk you through this step by step. But here's something critical that many people overlook. Even if the Get My Payment tool shows no available payments, you should still double-check your eligibility through the Recovery Rebate Credit process. Why? Because the tool doesn't account for all possible scenarios that might make you eligible for additional funds. This is especially important if your financial situation changed significantly during the pandemic years. Now, let's address a question I've been getting a lot: what happens if I miss the January 16th deadline? While there might be some very limited exceptions for certain situations, for most people, this deadline is absolute. The IRS has been clear that these funds will be redistributed to the Treasury if left unclaimed. This isn't like other tax credits that you can claim in future years. This is truly a use it or lose it situation. Here's something else you need to know: the process of claiming these funds might affect your other tax benefits and credits. This isn't necessarily a bad thing. In fact, reviewing your stimulus eligibility might reveal other tax benefits you've been missing. For example, many people who qualify for unclaimed stimulus payments also qualify for the Earned Income Tax Credit or the Child Tax Credit, which could mean even more money in your pocket. Let's talk about some common misconceptions that might be preventing people from claiming their funds. First, many believe that if they received unemployment benefits during the pandemic, they're not eligible for stimulus payments. This is false. Unemployment benefits don't disqualify you from stimulus payments. Another myth is that you need to pay someone to help you claim these funds. The truth is, you can complete this process entirely on your own, and I'm going to show you how. Security is another crucial aspect we need to discuss. Unfortunately, scammers are taking advantage of this January 16th deadline to trick people. Here's how to protect yourself. The IRS will never call, email, or text you asking for personal information about stimulus payments. All legitimate communication about your stimulus funds will come through official IRS letters, and any claims must be made through the official IRS website or through filing tax forms. Let's look at the numbers that make this so important. The average unclaimed amount is significant. While some might be owed a few $100s, others could be eligible for the full $5,400. Think about what that kind of money could mean for your family. It could help pay off debt, build an emergency fund, make home repairs, or invest in your future. This isn't just about claiming money, it's about securing your financial well-being. Here's a strategic approach to maximize your chances of success. Start the process today. Don't wait until the last minute. The IRS systems might be overwhelmed as we get closer to the deadline, and you want to ensure you have time to resolve any issues that might arise. If you run into problems, you'll want margin to contact the IRS directly or seek professional help if needed. Let's talk about what happens after you submit your claim. The IRS typically processes these claims within 6-8 weeks, but processing times might be longer as we approach the deadline. Once approved, you'll receive your payment either by direct deposit or check, depending on the information you provide. Make sure your banking information is up to date to avoid any delays. Now, here's something many people don't realize: if you're owed stimulus money, you might also be entitled to interest on these delayed payments. The IRS is required by law to pay interest on late stimulus payments in certain situations. While the interest amounts might not be huge, it's another reason to make sure you're claiming everything you're entitled to receive. What about married couples or those who have divorced since the pandemic? This is a complex situation that requires careful attention. If you were married when you qualified for the stimulus payments but are now divorced, you'll need to understand how to properly claim your portion of any unpaid stimulus funds. The same goes for situations involving shared custody of children and who can claim stimulus money for dependents. Let's address another important aspect: what if you were incarcerated during part of the pandemic? Contrary to what many believe, incarceration doesn't automatically disqualify you from receiving stimulus payments. There are specific rules about eligibility for incarcerated individuals, and you might be entitled to payments you never received. For those who are currently facing financial hardship, these unclaimed stimulus funds could be a crucial lifeline. But here's something important to consider: if you're currently in a payment plan with the IRS for back taxes, receiving stimulus funds might affect your payment arrangement. However, don't let this discourage you from claiming what you're owed. You might be able to renegotiate your payment plan based on your new circumstances. Now, let's talk about record keeping. Once you start the claims process, it's crucial to keep copies of everything. Save screenshots of your online submissions, make copies of any forms you fill out, and keep all correspondence from the IRS. This documentation could be vital if there are any issues with your claim or if you need to follow up with the IRS. Here's a pro tip that could save you hours of frustration. Before you start the claims process, create a simple spreadsheet to track all the stimulus payments you've already received. Include dates, amounts, and any correspondence numbers from the IRS. This will make it much easier to identify what you might still be owed and provide accurate information in your claim. Let's discuss some special situations that might affect your claim. If you lived abroad during the pandemic, you might still be eligible for stimulus payments, provided you meet the other qualifying criteria. The same goes for U.S. territories. Residents of Puerto Rico, the U.S. Virgin Islands, and other territories have specific rules regarding stimulus payments that you need to understand. What about those who've experienced identity theft? If someone fraudulently claimed your stimulus payments, don't give up hope. The IRS has procedures in place to help victims of identity theft recover their stimulus funds, but you'll need to act quickly given the approaching deadline. As we near the end of this discussion, let's talk about what to do if you find out you're not eligible for any unclaimed stimulus funds. This might be disappointing, but there are other financial assistance programs and tax credits you might qualify for. The process of checking your stimulus eligibility might reveal other opportunities to improve your financial situation. Remember, this January 16th deadline isn't just about claiming money, it's about ensuring you've received all the financial support you were entitled to during one of the most challenging periods in recent history. Don't let hesitation or uncertainty prevent you from claiming what's rightfully yours. Before we wrap up, let's review the most critical points. The deadline is January 16th. The maximum amount you could receive is $5,400, and the process is free through the IRS website. Don't wait, start checking your eligibility today. The worst that can happen is finding out you're not owed anything, but imagine discovering you've got thousands of dollars waiting for you. If this information has been helpful to you, please don't forget to hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Share it with your friends and family. You never know who might be missing out on thousands of dollars in unclaimed stimulus funds. Drop a comment below if you have any questions, and I'll do my best to help you navigate this process. Stay tuned for more important financial updates and tips to help you make the most of your money. Remember, knowledge is power, especially when it comes to your financial well-being. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.